Hello everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Coach Guzzy's Coach's Corner here at Korner Sports. Today, special guest is Mr. Eric Mays. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
One of the few things, Eric was the marketing director for Under Armour. He's been around numerous superstar athletes. I know you're a man of many hands, man. You've had your hand in a lot of different things, man. Explain to the people.
Predominantly sports. Thank you for having me first.
No, of course.
Predominantly sports, but it all started doing licensing for Topps, a trading card company, and that transformed into eventually representing baseball players for Aces Sports Management. Did that for about 7 years. I signed some pretty good guys. Jonathan Papelbon, Luis Castillo with the Marlins. Cliff Floyd was one of my guys. So I had quite a few guys, and then that transitioned into Kevin Plank starting a baseball division over at Under Armour. And it was the right time for me to leave the sports agency world and jump into the marketing side at Under Armour. And
Nice.
we had all the pressures of, they wanted to sign the Albert Pujolses at the time and A-Rods, and my whole philosophy and vision for them was, hey, nobody knows Under Armour yet. Nobody knows you as a baseball brand. Let's start grabbing all these young guys and build from the ground up. And that's exactly what we did.
I hear you. I see it. Like nowadays, as a matter of fact, when at one point, I remember when I was in the beginning of my career with the Mets, I remember Jose Reyes was with Nike, and then one spring training we show up and he was Under Armour. It was like Under Armour started taking over. They just took over a baseball, and now you see guys like it's just really big. It's huge in baseball. But you've also been involved with the boxing side.
Yes.
That's the kicker here, right?
That's
so
the
like
passion.
like what names, what boxers have you been involved with?
I was predominantly, I guess, Canelo Alvarez. I remember
the champ,
number one pound for pound. It could be argued, but there's to me no doubt that he's number one. But I remember watching the Floyd Mayweather fights every Cinco de Mayo weekend. As a big boxing fan, you saw this little, who I thought was a white Irish kid, and he was just knocking everybody out. And then they interview him, and he didn't speak English. I'm like, where the heck's this kid from? So, come to find out, from Guadalajara, Mexico. So I picked up the phone, called our Under Armour affiliates down in Mexico. I said, man, I need some more info on this kid. I mean, he'd be a great kid to try to launch into the boxing space for Under Armour. And met him at 19 years old, and I can't believe he's 30 already.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy to think that he lost to probably one of the greats of all time. I just think that and I don't get into it, but I think that he fought him at the wrong time, because if he would have fought him at the right time, it would have been a little different. I think
the crazy thing was, it was way too early in his boxing career to fight him. I mean, he turned pro at 15, so he was 22 when he fought him at the time. But the crazy part is his whole regimen of training, everything changed from that moment on. I remember after the fight, it was myself, his family, everybody was in the locker room. Obviously, everybody was down because he never expected to lose. And Floyd Mayweather himself came over to Canelo's locker room by himself, and he's looking around. He's like, I need somebody to translate. And I'm the only one there who speaks Spanish English. So he's telling me, he sat right in front of Canelo's mom and dad and said, tell them, please, that he is the next superstar in this game when I leave this. And he meant it. He meant it. So he
don't talk the talk. He don't talk the talk.
It's a side of Floyd that most people don't get to see.
Exactly.
And I was really blown away by
That's awesome, man. It's little moments like that, man, where like you don't get to see that every day. Everybody sees the Floyd that the media puts out. Exactly. They don't see the Floyd that's Floyd, exactly. So as in anything else. Man, so tell us a little bit of your background, man. Like, where are you from? Like, where'd you grow up?
Man, grew up in downtown Jersey City in what's known as Villa Borinquen, I guess.
All right.
And, I guess rough beginnings there. A lot of people, I guess, don't seem to aspire to or get to certain places, I guess, or that's the stereotype. But I was always the type of kid that if you told me I wasn't going to be able to do something, I was going to do it just to prove you wrong. Like,
that's right.
That was always
that's that grit. That's that grit.
That grit, growing up with a Puerto Rican grandma who just, they're their aspect of or philosophy for success was, you know, leave school and go get a job at the post office.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no,
but she didn't know much, you know. So it was always that grind of baseball. Grew up, you know, on the same block with a professional fighter, with Mark McDowell, who was like our uncle on the block, and he instilled that discipline of us. That's where the boxing love came from, just watching him and him bringing Hector Macho Camacho on the block every once in a while.
Right, like, everybody's like starstruck.
What's going on? So I always saw that, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do something in the world of sports one way or another. If it wasn't being able to play professionally, which, you know, I unfortunately didn't get a chance to. I played at Brevard Junior College down in Florida. Then I played a little independent ball with Koaches Indians. I actually tried out for them for a little bit. And then it just got to the point where I was like, I love the sport. I'm going to find something to do. I started dabbling into the world of the independent leagues, trying to represent guys there. And my break came when I flew down to the Super Bowl actually in Atlanta. I was working a part-time job at Continental Airlines at the time. And I would use my flying benefits to travel all over the country just to be in certain spots. $10 for a flight. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to spring training. I'm gonna meet people, and 'cause my whole thing was always networking. Like, to me, it didn't matter what kind of degree you had hanging on your wall or anything else. If you don't have a network, to me, it was useless. So I met a gentleman who was doing financial planning for Michael Strahan and a bunch of other guys, and I was still working at Continental Airlines. I told him, listen, you may not have a job to offer me at the time, but I'd love to just come in and learn the business as to what you're doing. So I rearranged my schedule at the airline. I was working there from 3 a.m. to about 10. Then I'd shoot over into the city where his office was and just start learning the business of, you know, financial planning and for athletes and everything else. Did that for a whole year, you know, the hustle going back and forth. Then I was just, you know, researching and said, man, there's an opening for a licensing department at Topps. And he was more than willing to write my recommendation, and that just kind of started the whole thing from there.
It's awesome. I always try to tell everybody that it's not about how good you are. You know, you have to kind of mix in. You know, be social, like learn people, like things. Baseball and sports isn't about how good you are, and it's gonna be like that forever.
I tell my kids, there's no shortcut at hard work, man. There's
100%.
And you could be placed in certain positions, but there's no shortcut to that hard work. I wish there was a pill like we could just give somebody and be like, hey, you know. But the hard work is what's going to get you there at some point.
100%, 100%. It's funny because me and you had conversations, man, and I remember when I first met you, you knew my agent.
Yes,
my agents when I played, and then you were like, oh yeah, I know. I was like, this guy, who is this guy? Bro? This guy's a jack of all trades.
All those guys.
Got your hands in you know, in every little pot, man, and that's awesome, bro. Like, honestly, I think that's the best thing because the advice that you can give your kids and lead them in a certain way, because a lot of kids don't have guidance. A lot of kids need that, you know. I always ask people who come on the show, right? And I asked them, I say, you know, you being from Jersey City and you growing up with that grit, what's the best advice that you would give a kid that's, you know, a young kid who's trying to find their way, you know, who doesn't have all the means that he needs, and, you know, I'm a testament to that, and so are you. You know, we come from inner city. What's some advice you would give them?
Like I said earlier, there's no substitute for hard work. Like, you're going to get a lot of naysayers along the way, and most people like to project their fears on you. You know, so everyone's like, oh, you're not going to be able to be a sports agent. You don't have a law degree. You don't have that. If you want to do it bad enough, you're going to find a way to get it done. Right. You know, my dad would always say, if you're going to find an excuse, or you're going to find a way. You know, and most people try to find an excuse when they don't want to put in that hard work. And then at the end of the day, man, just keep your head down, keep plugging. You're going to get a lot of naysayers. You're going to get a lot of people tell you can't do it. You know, the word, if you accept that word into your vocabulary, can't, then you're going to manifest that.
That's right. It's true, man. I'm big on speaking things to existence, you know?
To existence.
And, man, I get chills when I hear that, bro, because I know exactly what you mean. So, we always talk about it too, man. What's up with how you feel about Frankie Lindor, man, coming to the Mets?
Man, Frankie's like a little brother. So, I mean, it all started with Under Armour too. When I signed Frankie at Under Armour and built a really good relationship with him and his agent Dave Meter. Frankie is just what New York needed. And he's the type of kid that you could be a Yankees fan and you're not going to be able to hate this kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like with us, I guess. I grew up a Met fan, so growing up a Met fan, you couldn't hate Derek Jeter. You know, he was phenomenal. He was great. He did everything right. Frankie's that same type of kid. Does everything right. You know, he's going to always say the right things and not just say it just to say it. He actually means it. I just hope they do the right thing and
by him.
Sign him right now.
Yeah, for real. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I mean, as far as when it comes to shortstops, man, I mean, you don't get better than that, dude.
He's got to be saying thank you to guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. right now, signing that kind of a deal.
Oh, yeah, man, that's a whole other topic, man.
Frankie, I'm sitting there like, all right, you just paid this kid over $300 million. What am I worth right now?
Exactly, because that man has a body of work. So
platinum glove, you know.
World Series been to.
Been to a World Series.
He's proven. 40 homers.
40 homers in the season.
He's proven, man. But
talk about naysayers, guy. I mean, he's not your prototypical shortstop.
Exactly.
You know, you look at him. All the kids watching Coach's Corner, he's 5'10" at best, you know.
That's right. That's
so
right.
You can't play the position. He showed he can play the position.
You know, it's funny you say that because going off of that, I seen an interview yesterday, and it was on SNY. I was going through Instagram, and I seen an interview with Marcus Stroman. By the way, I love Marcus Stroman,
so
man.
Do I.
I like his attitude. You know why? He's from New York. A lot of times people take that kind of energy that he has, and they try to turn it into, look at this guy, tattoos, and I got tattoos all over the place, man. But it's a story. You see what I'm saying? It's a story to tell. Yeah. And like what he said yesterday, they asked him. They didn't play the question that the reporter asked him, but they played his answer. Of course, they would do that because they want to, you know, make this guy, ostracize this guy, make him look crazy, you know. But I loved his answer, and he said, basically, my blank is nasty. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna deal. My stuff moves everywhere. My stuff's nasty, and I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna deal all season. And you know what? That's the way it has to be. And where I'm going with that is, he's only 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", maybe. I don't know his height exactly, but you know what? He wears a glove, and if I'm not mistaken, it's HMH.
Yeah, that's his brand.
Something about height doesn't measure heart or something like that, and I love it.
That's his brand.
And the reason why I love it is because my dad's only 5'7", but that's a tough mofo, man. That dude is different. My father's different, and from New York, and the way they grind, like Jersey, New York, the way they grind, man, and the way they go in and go about their business, like a Frankie, like a Lindor, like a Altuve. People always, you know, they cut them off. They don't even give them a chance. They just look at them a certain way. And now look, three out of the 50 biggest names in baseball right now.
Yeah.
So you gotta, for all the kids who are watching, like Eric said, man, that height stuff, that your size stuff, that doesn't matter. If you go out there and grind, if you go out there and give it everything that you can and be great things happen, man.
Think about it. You got guys like Mookie Betts. I mean, you look at Mookie.
See? A Mookie. There you go.
You look at Mookie Betts, you're like, who's a phenomenal bowler, by the way. The dude could really go.
I know.
I
seen that.
Bowler
I seen that.
Like, it's sick.
Yeah, I seen that.
As good as he is, but he's another one of those guys where, I mean, he might be 180 pounds. Soaking wet, I want to say.
Yeah.
Not very big, not 6 feet tall, you know, completely debunks the whole, you know, and that's the thing too, when these scouts come watch these kids play, you know, the first thing they want to see is the 6'4" shortstop throwing 100 miles an hour across the diamond. Like,
everybody's not Tatis, man. Everybody's not Aaron Judge, and people need to understand.
Players.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of good practice.
Put that game in motion, man. Put it in motion.
Right. Can he hit in that clutch situation?
No, how about this? Oh, he can hit that 95. Can you stay off that slider?
There you go.
Can you see that nasty changeup?
Right.
Can you see that two seam, that cutter? No, my college coach in Oklahoma, I will never forget. Kurt Russell. He told me, I'm not interested in seeing you 5 o'clock hitters. And at the time, I didn't understand what he was talking about. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? This guy's nuts. What's wrong with him? But, you know, being young, you know, but then as time goes on, and then I asked him, I was like, yo, coach, man, what are you talking about? And he's like, you guys hit before the game. But some of these guys hit we lose all the baseballs on the fields, because behind our field was freaking cornfields and stuff. He's like, we lose all the baseballs, but in the game, it's funny, we have a whole bucket full. and I'm like, Oh, I get it. All right, and it's true, man. It's true. Can you translate that game into gameplay? And I agree to that, man. I agree.
There's that line of, what makes guys superstars, and they've always been the ones who've been able to slow the game down when it starts to pick up and speed up at those clutch moments.
Yeah.
Back to Jeter. Jeter was one of those guys.
Yeah.
He may not have the statistics that everybody's like, oh my God. If you think about that era when he was playing with Garcia Parra and A-Rod and all those guys, was he really the best shortstop out of all of them?
Absolutely not. Everybody knows that.
Statistically, he was.
I mean, if
you put him on Pittsburgh, is he the same guy?
No, exactly. But if you want to be super honest, I mean, let's be real. Yeah. And people, I don't even want to say this on the camera, but people all the time, we talk about Didi or Derek Jeter. I'm gonna be honest with you. Who's more talented? Didi.
Man, I remember watching Didi with the Reds, and I was having a conversation with Larkin, Barry Larkin at the time, who was working with them as well, and he was just like, "Watch his hands." I mean, some of the best hands I've ever seen.
Yeah.
While him just picking the ball, like, wow.
Because of me growing up in New York, Jeter was he was everything, and don't ever get it twisted. Jeter's one of the greatest.
Oh yeah.
But it's just that he was so consistent. You wasn't getting nothing that was out of this world. But his presence,
consistency, man.
His consistency. It was just different, man. It was different.
He made every play. He was going to make that clutch play when he had to.
When the camera was on him, it works.
Yeah, the lights. Again, he was not that 5 o'clock guy. He was that guy. He was prime time.
That's right. That's right, man. That's awesome, man. So tell the people, how can they reach you if they wanted to, know more about your company and more about your what you're doing?
Follow us on OODA Global Gaming on Instagram. We've got the whole gaming aspect, which we've didn't talk much here, but that was a whole new venture for me. Just
explain. Let us know.
OODA Global Gaming, actually the whole term is actually a military term, which stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. And my partner and I just came up with that name. He also has a big baseball background, and he introduced me to the whole space of gaming. He ran a couple of tournaments with Major League Baseball players, and that's kind of how I got involved. I just saw where that space is going. And last year, unfortunately, when we got hit with this pandemic, everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And for us, not to take advantage of a bad situation, but it was a blessing in disguise, because now everything was online, all this gaming opportunity. So we were able to set up a lot of online tournaments through Twitch. We did an event for the NFL alumni where we got a bunch of former NFL guys playing against current baseball players online.
Oh, nice.
Raise money and it's been a big charitable component is what it has been. It's helped a lot of organizations raise funds for certain causes. Nice. And it's been extremely, it's been good for us, man, because it's been able to show some athletes in a positive light. These guys get beat up for just making all tons of money and never showing up for appearances. The gaming aspect now helps guys make these appearances, help people build charitably for their organizations, but also doing it from the comfort of their home. They don't have to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the things that we're doing as well. And then now the Player Showcase thing that I've been involved with Jim Duquette, former GM of the Mets. That was more near and dear to my heart because Jimmy Lee Solomon, who was one of the big executives of Major League Baseball, he started the civil rights game and everything else for Major League Baseball. He had this vision of starting to get inner city youth playing baseball again. And unfortunately, he passed away last year in the middle of all our negotiations. But we wanted to continue the spirit of this whole running these camps for the inner city. So they came in, Jim Duquette and I, and we sat down, started formulating a plan to really start bringing baseball back into the inner city. Obviously, the cost of baseball has become astronomical.
Oh yeah,
insane,
man.
And inner city still suffers from those things, and that's why I still feel more kids gravitate towards basketball and football, sports that you can play independently. Baseball is still a sport where you need 9 guys out there or whatever it is. Not like how we used to play wiffle ball or stick ball or whatever it might have been, but just working with these guys at the Players Showcases is going to allow us to help put on a lot of these showcases for kids who are underprivileged, kids who may not have that opportunity. And we're doing it through former Major League Baseball players, current Major League Baseball players like Jason Hayward is going to be involved as well.
Nice.
And a bunch of other guys. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Anything that we could do ever to give back, man?
We'll definitely do something here.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Hot Corners will be a place where we do something.
Hey, man, say no more. Say less.
No question.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But there you have it, everybody. Episode 6, it goes down. E. Mays, thank you, my guy. Appreciate you.
having me.
All right. Till next time.